Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a quick word from one of our sponsors, Apex Lab. Elevate your coffee experience with Apex Lab mineral concentrates. Apex Lab's precision-engineered formulas, including tonic, jam, and lilac, are designed to enhance the coffee's natural flavors. Not going to change it, it's just going to enhance it. It's going to bring out the vibrant acidity, the rich sweetness, or if you use lilac, it might bring out those delicate floral notes that you've been looking for. Trusted by world-class cafes and even barista champions, Apex Lab helps you unlock your coffee's full potential. Discover more at apexlab.com. Wait, where was that again, Sonam?
The internet.
Oh, okay. Thought I was going to say the website. Thanks. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors at Eco Barista. The reason I sound like this is because they got massages at our stand at Mice, and so I'm getting a massage while recording this message for you. They're the best sponsor of the pod that we could have had. They have the best eco products. This probably sounds really pornographic, but it's not. I'm just getting a massage. They have the best eco-friendly coffee products. They got coffee bags that you can design yourself. They got cups. They got iced coffee cups. They got everything you need. So make sure to support them because they support us. Head to ecobarista.com.au and get 15% off your first purchase when you sign up. Oh, mama, that's good. All right, welcome back to another episode of
It's Just Coffee.
I'm Rowan Cook, and sitting alongside me is our producer,
Liam Conroy.
And as always,
It's Just Coffee.
Today, we have a very special episode. We have one of the pioneers of convenience coffee on the ep today. Founder of Newground, Connor Nestor. 6 years ago, Connor, along with his friends Ralph Jenner and Barnaby Marshall, set out to create a specialty instant coffee after struggling to find high-quality options on the market. What began as a passion for coffee and hospitality has grown into a full-service coffee manufacturing company working with some of the biggest names in the industry. We're talking about St. Ali. We're talking about Supreme. We're talking about Allpress Espresso, which, by the way, Allpress, that's the guy's last name. What a name for a coffee company, Allpress. I love that. And now he's here to explore the world of convenience coffee with us, from its origins back in the 60s to the RTD boom in the 2000s, and how Newground has paved the way for the fifth wave of coffee innovation. We'll be unpacking the origin stories of Newground, and everyone loves an origin stories. If I've learned anything from Marvel, everyone loves an origin story. We'll be looking at the methods that set them apart from the rest of the convenience game. We'll be exploring all of Newground's different innovations. We'll be looking at coffee solutions at airports and even espresso martini on tap. Unfortunately, Connor's not with us, so we don't have any of that espresso martini on hand. Damn. And we'll be asking the big question, how is this new wave of coffee being taken in commercially and culturally? But enough from me. Let's jump into the episode. Welcome to the show, Connor Nestor. Woo! And I've also got to ask straight off the bat, Are you a taken man? Are you single?
I'm a taken man.
Well, it should be, because I just wanted to ask this question because he's beautiful. I'm looking at this screen here and he's a handsome man. He's an entrepreneur. He's leading the way.
Yes. Unfortunately for those people. I've got a loving wife.
Now, Connor, you're calling in from New Zealand. Is that correct? Where are we?
Yes, we're in Auckland. Actually on Auckland's North Shore, Tamaki Makaurau.
Amazing. And it's pretty cold here in Melbourne. How's weather over there right now?
It's just dropped off. So it's layer season. It's feeling good.
Now,
though.
I have to ask, you do a lot of ready-to-drink coffees and that kind of thing. Are you upset that the tagline, "Your friend in the fridge," is already taken? Do New Zealanders know about that, or is that just like an Australian thing?
Let's ask.
Okay.
Nah, no idea. What are you talking about?
There's an old school company over here and they have like two little New Zealand guys, and it's like a dairy company, and they're like, "Your friend in the fridge" is the tagline at the end. So it would have been great for your coffee, but
Same.
just like, what are you talking about?
Nah.
Must just be a thing on us. All right, let's jump into the as we said, the Marvel, the origin stories. We'll hear how it all began. Can you just give us kind of like the elevator pitch of like, how did Newground come to be and what is it?
Yeah. So we were away at my friend Barnaby's beach house on an Easter break, and we'd forgotten to take coffee with us, and so we were just drinking like whatever was in the back of the batch cupboard, which was probably, I don't know, Red Ribbon or like any classic instant, and you drink it in a classic fashion with, heat, sugar and cream, and it was delicious. And I guess like we were kind of just like drinking that all this long weekend, and we were like, oh, I wonder if there's a way to make this taste good. And Bridgie, who's Barnaby's partner, was kind of like, yeah, you guys should make instant. And we were like, oh yeah, I guess like there's probably something fundamental to us in terms of like trying to figure something out. That's probably a little bit almost like on the spectrum type buzz. So we kind of had this idea of making like, okay, can we make a good tasting instant? And from there it was like, we're kind of brand and storytelling background guys. And so the big idea was, okay, let's make a good tasting instant coffee brand to go into supermarket against Connor and Nestle. I don't know if we tried very hard, but we sort of convinced ourselves that we couldn't find a supplier who could make the quality that we were looking for. And so we ended up going on about a 3-year engineering wormhole that led us to build what we now call the NGT extraction system, which is basically like a Willy Wonka giant coffee brewing machine. And on that journey, we had met a US startup at the time called Voila, who was sort of the guys who were making specialty instant coffee. He had this tiny little freeze dryer. Couldn't make a lot of the product. Lots of interest, very expensive. And so we sort of said, oh, hey, look, we can make that for you. And we sort of quite liked this opportunity that presented itself to not have to go and do sales and marketing and build a brand and just quietly get to keep tinkering away on this kind of manufacturing idea. And so through that relationship, we started making his product, and then we started making all of the collab products that he had gone and signed up. So we were instantly sort of connected into the Barn and 3FE and Notes and all of these sort of world-class, coffee roasters. And so that kind of solidified enough for us that there's demand here. Let's kind of keep going. The origin story was sort of at the batch, and it was basically this piece of twine that we just kind of kept pulling all at the same time while we had our day job. So it was a side hustle for a long time. But that was sort of the first piece. So it clocked specialty instant coffee, and we were making it for these wonderful brands. And then I guess from there we started looking at, okay, we've got this piece of technology. What else can we make? And we actually met Dale Harris, who was the world barista champ along the journey. And he was like, I want to make this kind of coffee in a box thing, or I kind of want to make something cold brew on demand. And he was working for a company called Has Been in Ozone at the time, who wanted to do it on tap. And we sort of thought, yeah, we could probably do something in that space. And so got back into the wormhole and started digging around on what are the technology we needed to build and design. And then voila, we got that product, and then we had 2 products. So we made this espresso strength coffee and bladder and specialty instant. And then I guess through like trips to Japan and living in the States and kind of seeing cold brew culture and kind of just like canned coffee as a thing.
Boss coffee everywhere.
It's more like the can thing in Japan feels almost nostalgic for me, and like kind of like not even real when you're there. It's amazing feeling. That was always just like, I wonder if we could get to that spot. And so we kind of just kept kind of exploring that. And at this time, we'd basically gone from a carport with an open flame from an LPG bottle into like about 10 square meters of our artist friend's warehouse that had put up some plywood walls for us to keep tinkering away at. And then into a slightly bigger warehouse where we had our brewing technology. And so we were just brewing and outsourcing a lot of the other parts. And so initially with cans, we sort of outsourced it and had lots of challenges, whether they were mechanical or either human beings who were challenging to work with or they didn't quite have the hardware that was required to make good product. So we had lots of challenges there. which ultimately led us to build our own factory, which we have here in Auckland now. So yeah, kind of we figured it out and we clocked it, and now we've got these 3 products that we produce all with our energy extraction system. So there's a long-winded way of kind of the story. I haven't sort of thought about it or talked about it in a long time, but yeah, there's a part trauma in there and part, a lot of trauma in there. And now we're in a kind of a new phase where things are going in the right direction. It's feeling good. But yeah, we're always looking at what else we can do and add to the product offering. So, but those 3 are sort of our hero.
Yeah, that's a great summary to kind of kick us off. And I know what you mean. I'm sure whenever you're a company that's trying to do something that hasn't been done or changed the way, whenever you're working with other manufacturers or that kind of thing, they don't want to do anything new or different. They just want to do what's easy and what they know. So of course you come against these like roadblocks of, nope, can't do it. Nope, can't do it. And it's just an absolute nightmare.
Totally. Yeah, man. We had that so many times. And there's like a few good stories in there that have kind of built resilience for us, and kind of learnings. And now that's how we approach everything, is like, if it's a failure, it's a learning, and we kind of come at things less naive than we did now, and probably with a bit more structure and framework around how we validate processes. But without that naivety, we wouldn't be where we are now. And I still think we're at the very beginning of our journey.
Well, I mean, this is hearing all this now, it's such an inspiring story for those that are maybe working in the industry or doing that kind of thing and wanting to do something different. For you, how long were you working your regular day job while trying to get this off the ground? Like, when did it become feasible to just jump into this?
Moved into this full time in January last year. So what are we, like 16 months? Is that right? Yeah, no, 18 months maybe. Yeah, and basically, I was wearing 2 hats. So I'd be working my normal job, and then I would be doing this nights and weekends, which was all I knew. Yeah. It's all I knew. So it was really fun, and it was unfolding, and there's momentum. So yeah, it was good. I don't know if my wife would say the same thing.
But she's still there with you, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, she's here, and part. Yeah, partly she's still there.
The life of an entrepreneur. Just on that, just saying all the roadblocks that you had, what was kind of the biggest one? Like, was there a moment where you were like, we're shutting the doors, this is done? Where it's like, what was the hardest moment for you guys?
I think it was the summer of 2022. We had like basically taken all these orders, done all this product development on coffee in a can for maybe like 6 customers or something like that. And we had gone from one facility which had basically fallen over because they couldn't deliver the demand that we had given them. And we ended up going into that. Our whole team ended up flying. This was up or down the country, flying down there on a Monday, working in the factory, running the factory, writing all the SOPs, doing all of the compliance, working the line, and then we'd fly back on a Friday, just furiously trying to make this product for this customer. We basically pulled out of there, and we'd found another even bigger co-packer, which the bonus was that they were just on the other side of the city, but they had the state-of-the-art machine, but really challenging people to work with. And so we had taken all of this demand into that facility, and we ran probably 500,000 cans or something like that. And that was in December. And then in January, we had come back and we had found that they had spoiled. A number of them had spoiled, or some of them were in blank cans and the labels had been mixed up and on the wrong cans, or they'd gone into the thermal processing machine and they'd exploded, or like, honestly, it was a shit show. And so we kind of had an inkling that was what was happening over the summer break, and I feel like we kind of put it off, but also no one in the business talked to each other for that. It was like the darkest summer of all time. But we came out the other side, and it cost us about like $1.2 million of stock and credit. And we just sort of thought, we're committed to this. And so we dished out credits to all of our customers. And we put together this kind of smorgasbord like supply chain of like brewing in our facility, a craft beer facility like Deep West would put it in a can for us. We'd cold freight it to another facility where we'd do processing, and then we'd ship it off to another place to put labels on it. And it was like, we did that for probably 8 months while we were trying to build this place. And so this facility where I'm at, we put together in that summer. So we kind of decided in probably March that shit, we're going to have to build our own facility if we want to do this seriously. And then we were shipping our first containers of product in December 23. So it was a pretty quick turnaround, and we just fortunately had the right people around us and the right customers, and like, thank goodness for customers who really understand it and like want to be in this category and the things that we're making. And yeah, so that was one of those, they're probably the deepest traumatic experiences in business that we've had, and that basically the biz kind of did die. But we just somehow managed to like raise a bit more money and just like get ourselves out of it. And we've completely turned the ship around, and it's feeling good now.
What was the main like lesson and takeaway? Like what will you forever avoid now? Or is it literally just a personnel kind of choice?
It's just decision making and like doing your DD. If you're not in control of the processes, do the DD. I don't think we would really ever do third party manufacturing again. It's so brutal. Like, you just don't get any love. You say, these guys make really fantastic at making like fizzy water or like ethanol based like RTDs, ready to drink, like boozy drinks. But because our products are so sensitive, coffee is so sensitive, milk is so sensitive, oat milk is like, these things are not easy to make products. So you've got to work with people who understand it and have got the protocols in place to be able to like have care around it and make sure that the timings are correct and all of these things that kind of go into making like world-class products. So I think we just go in with a more robust checklist.
So speaking of world-class products, you make specialty instant, specialty ready-to-drink canned coffee. What is the big difference that separates you from, let's say, another big brand like a Nestle when you're making it? Like, what are you doing differently?
Yeah, I think there's probably two parts to that. One is approach and one is process. So we've built this piece of kit called the NGT extraction system, and that is basically our contribution to the coffee industry, and we've designed it around quality. So we're trying to get out all the good tasting solids available in the coffee bean. We are trying to minimize the wastage. We're basically leaving all of that woodiness and that kind of one-dimensional like tone that you get from instant coffee. Whereas most of the big guys are just optimized for yield. So we are actively optimizing for flavor.
What would their process be when they're making their instant coffee or those kind of things?
I mean, like, from my understanding, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of heat. It's kind of just cooking everything out of it that you can get. Again, optimizing for yield. You're just taking as much of that stuff out as you can. I've never been to one of those plants, so I don't actually know.
And as we know about just brewing coffee, if you make the consumption, if we're making a pour over or an espresso, the idea is that you want to get out just the best elements, because there's lots of solubles in that coffee that are not great tasting. Yeah. So if you're just extracting everything for the yield, I mean, that's what we'd call over-extracted coffee if we were making an espresso, and that sounds like what all these, big companies are doing to their instant.
Yeah, exactly. And then, the approach piece is like, we use well-selected coffees. We work with some of the world's best coffee roasters who put in the work to know the farmers or know their suppliers, and then their decades of years of experience in roasting and refinement, kind of that all goes into, they bring that to us, and then they trust us to deliver that back to them in a format that can't otherwise be made. So a big part of what we do is approach, and that's a super collaborative piece that we bring to into manufacturing with
And I'm just going to
customers.
ask, NGT is your process, which you guys own. That's your technology that you've bought. Is it just New Ground Technology? Is that the acronym? New Ground Technology.
You gotta.
Nice.
I've always wanted to have
Yeah, you
something
don't-
named after me. That's not fair. NGT. Oh yeah, we created NGT. What's that? You know us, New Ground Technology.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We didn't really. It's one of those things that we just did not overthink at all. It was just like, NGT.
No offense, but yeah, I can tell. Yeah.
Honestly, I get it.
So how does that process work? So you're using the hot water extraction. Where does it go from there? How do you cool it? How do you help preserve those flavors? How do you make it a better quality product than the others?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really talk about this. The funny thing, we say we've got this big brewer. We don't really talk about it because we're super sensitive about the IP. But all the customers who come through, you can see it. It's a kind of big Willy Wonka looking coffee brewing machine. I guess in the simplest form, hot water extraction that we do over a 30-minute period. We do about 60 kgs or 120 kgs an hour. Currently on NGT1 and NGT2. We optimize those extractions within the program to give us exactly what we want out of the other side. It gathers in a collection tank, and then we put it back through a heat exchanger and chill it down below 4 degrees into a holding tank to then be processed into its final form. So there's multiple stages of filtration in there, and and a lot of it's sort of temperature and how we hold that extract before it is processed into its next.
Now, just for the listeners at home, he's been cool as a cucumber the whole pod, but asking about the technology, I could just see his head darting around going, how can I say this without saying too much? And I feel like you did a good job there. I feel like I understand it, but it's also vague enough that my team can't go build this out the back and we'll take all your business.
Yeah. No, that's how we refer to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely respect your secrecy. I'd want to keep it secret as well. So how does it work? So we've obviously got better brewing technology that you're using there. Then how does it work in terms of sourcing? So are you specifically sourcing specialty beans? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah. Everything we source. So we work in 2 different ways. With all of the roaster customers, a lot of them deliver what they do best to us, and we take that roasted coffee and run it through the process. We're finding now, because we're based in Auckland, we're actually procuring and setting like roast profiles in collaboration with roasting brands or roasters too, and then we look after that side of things on their behalf. So we're sort of an R&D and manufacturing department for a lot of customers. Everything we procure is of a specialty grade. So that's kind of how we refer to, and how most people in the industry would refer to specialty coffee as through a grading system. And we apply that to sort of, our milk inputs and all of our ingredients that we use just sort of have the same approach from a quality standpoint. But that piece is really open for discussion. If it's easier for us to purchase it and roast it and produce it for you, then we'll do that. If you want to be a part of that journey every single time, then we absolutely appreciate that also.
How does that process work? Like, I'm sure it's not just as simple as like, hey, St. Ali, you've got this coffee, just send us to it, we use it, and there it's great. Because I'm sure the processing method brings out different flavors and attributes. So are you adjusting the roast, the temperatures? Like, how do you match it to what they're producing, say, in the cafe?
Yeah. I think fundamentally we communicate that it is going to be different. Like, I think when we take the cafe as a reference point, and what we make is something unique and new. It's not an espresso machine that we're using. It's not a pour over. It's not a filter machine. It's kind of a hybrid of all of these methods. And so the extraction gives a different taste profile. Where we get really dialed in on is the roast profile, and then also we sample that extract out the other side. And so there's an understanding of what the system does and what it delivers, and then we finesse basically. So there are a few levers that we can pull in there, but we really try to leave it to the same thing as is what you would do with espresso. It's roast profile and it's grind particle size.
Yeah. It's all quite simple when you come down to it, isn't it? Smash some beans, pour some water through it. At the end of the day, that's what we've got there. But out of all the beans you've smashed and water you've poured through it, what is your favorite product that you've created?
I love all products equally. I'm big into this. Frothy trend that's happening. Protein coffee.
Here we go.
Oh,
You're talking to Beefy Boy over here.
I'm into this.
Look at, you know.
It's like, I'm not a big breakfast guy. And in the mornings, it's like I have my coffee when I get to work, and it's kind of, we've got this one that's got like 16 grams of protein in it, and it has got caffeine, and it tastes good, and it's like, it's the perfect way to start
Were
the day.
you that up and go kid growing up? Were you the one just like...
Honestly, I wanted to be the up and go kid, but my mum was like, we do whole foods here. You do like grated carrot sandwiches for lunch. I'm like,
there you go.
But I'd always trade. Trade my like.
Wait, people wanted the carrot sandwich
for an up and go and a list snack. Yeah, or like 100%. Yeah, it's weird. You always want.
I was laughing the other day at the atrocious. This is no disrespect to my mum, because the food that she'd cook for us every night and was all like doing that. But like, there was a stage growing up where I remember a Strasbourg sandwich with tomato sauce in it. Do you know Strasbourg? It's like the mortadella, just like that deli made of just mushed up
it's the
whatever.
Portadella.
The mortadella. And mortadella's already there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's the kind of thing I would totally trade for. It's something magical about tomato sauce and luncheon. That's just
I was exactly the same. I used to rock up with the equivalent of like a bento box kind of thing. My mom, just incredible human. I'm just like dishing that out. All I wanted was the roll-ups, and I was
never allowed roll-ups. I was never allowed tiny teddies.
Yeah. I like
any of that stuff.
Pop tops.
Do you remember Cabana? Was it Cabana?
Yeah.
Just like the meat stick things.
Yes.
And my God, so bad for you. Like processed. But delicious. What a treat.
We never asked you actually. What's your go-to coffee in the morning? Like, do you literally start the day with is it a proffee? Did you call that a proffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The prophet of proffee over here.
I go through phases because I try to not drink coffee till like I'm awake, till like maybe like 9 or 10 a.m. And I will kind of take a different route to the office most days to try and pick something up from a different like cafe or different joint. And I always like taking their specialty or signature drinks thing. So, and heaps of like new spots have got great cold options. So I'll always try those things. Traditionally, I was just like a, black filter guy. But now I'm trying to just like try stuff out. We've always got amazing coffees here. So it's like there's a fail-safe if it doesn't deliver. So yeah. Even like this week I've been drinking matcha and just like giving it a go and seeing what it's like to be 20 again, So that's
everyone tricking themselves into being like, I think I like it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I definitely like the strawberry one.
I'm like, I think whenever people are like obsessed with matcha, I'm like, I think you just like vanilla, or I think you like strawberry. But it is the perfect pairing for that sweet. The savory bitter mixed with the sweet is a good combo there. So big fan of that. Just a quick question. So people in the coffee industry listening to this today, what are the kind of numbers you got to be looking at to work with someone like you and start? Like there's a cafe, a roastery out there that's like, I want to make some stuff for the shelves. What are the numbers that they've got to be looking at to do that?
Yeah, we have our like MOQs have grown as we've grown. So for content at the moment, like a shift in the factory yields just shy of 50,000 cans, but we kind of just love the idea of play. So we're big, I guess, like we've got a real artistic approach to new product development. We do lean heavily on like data and, consumer trend data and sales data, but Ralph and I kind of just like to mess around. And so if someone has a really interesting idea that they want to do, or it's like a signature drink that they do in the cafe and it goes well for them, it's like we will totally explore that product. And so like numbers wise, it's like probably the smallest thing we'd do would be realistically, it's like 8,000 cans. It's still a lot of cans for a cafe. But we got different ways to cut stuff, and like we want to make cool stuff. That's the opportunity that we're in now, like we've got big customers who just like go all day, and then we've got cool stuff that we're interested in that we want to make happen because there's a real genuine interest in that, and it's a cool contribution back to hospitality scene or to person who's working their ass off. So we really like to explore those ideas, and it's generally those ideas that have a good opportunity to be big hits later down the
Okay,
track.
in Japan, have you seen the lemonade that when you open it, the full lid of the can comes off and there's a full slice of lemon in the top? That kind of thing is, yeah, it's sick.
That's
What
so
you need, like, I want to
so
see
sick.
like the boys from Good Measure make the Mont Blanc, but I want it to be like see-through, and I want it to be somehow separated, that when you like crack it open, the cream goes like boom, boom, and like falls down to that coffee, so it's like separated. You know when you had like Yogo back in the day and you have the chocolate chips on the side, you like tip it over into the thing. I want to see that, but with the Mont Blanc.
I want
like, how do we create
theater.
the two-part like connection there of the cream and coffee?
Or like,
that is
like as you open it, it like aerates the crate, like it.
Yeah,
you know,
there you go, brings it in.
You know, did you guys ever drink the OG Minor Figures cans when they were doing cans? I mean, like they had the full Guinness like nitrogen tab at the bottom. It was like they were so ahead of the curve, man. They would like, I remember we weren't even in business yet, and I was buying those cans from the supermarket, going like, why does no one buy these? Why this is it. Like this is the future. But like they were just way too far ahead. But they had that going. It's amazing.
It's that stuff's so cool. So nitrogen tabs. So those who don't know, when you have like a Guinness, there's a little like nitrogen bowl thing, right? So when you open it, it gives you that foaming effect that you'd get from a Guinness off tap. What are the other like trends that you're seeing in this space, or forecasting, or like what's something that you'd want to see?
In the RTD space specifically, like coffee in a can.
I mean, hit us with either. If there's just something in the coffee world that you're finding cool, but I mean, it would be cool looking at like coffee cans. You're probably like, I've got some secret stuff that I don't want to tell you.
Oh man, there's heaps of interesting things like that we'd love to like kind of do, but like it costs so much money to set that stuff up, and then by the time you've set it up, no one probably wants it because it's just like a TikTok trend. It's like cool this week, and then you've gone and spent $2 million on this little thing on the line. But I guess the things that I'm interested in are more just interesting flavor combinations. Like I say, like what the kind of baristas and the bartenders are doing with bringing flavors together in interesting ways. That's what we're interested in.
Totally.
Like we just want to, they make it with all the freshest and best ingredients. And then the challenge that or the way that we like to approach that is basically rip it apart and try and make it in a way that is cost effective, but does a pretty good job at tasting similar or the same through natural flavors or infusions or different processes that we've learned on our journey. So we're a bit like food techy nerdy in that regard, but we would still approach kind of how we make things the same way they would, and then we just kind of rip it apart.
This is why I need to travel to like Asia and stuff. Like business partner Sonam just came back from Bangkok, and maybe we'll get him on the coffee break to talk about some of these things. But he was like, oh my God, it just puts like Melbourne to shame, like all the innovation and the stuff that's happening, like so cool. He went to one bar that's just their whole focus is honey. So it's a cocktail bar and every drink is made with honey, but they get honeys from all over the world. They have like where it's extracted from. It's like some taste like balsamic, some taste like chocolate, some taste floral. And then they're like doing different processes like fermenting honey and doing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, what a cool idea to be like fully focused on that. And then even in the airport, just like all the cafes and stuff, it's like, like guava, coffee, sparkling, like whatever, just all these amazing combos that we're just not exploring enough and doing enough with. So there's so much cool stuff happening.
Totally. Yeah, that's the kind of space that's the opportunity for the next phase of coffee is like the quality part is expected. So there's a specialty, there's an expectation, I think, for consumers that quality is there from a trusted brand. And then the opportunity there is to just use this extract, if you will, or this coffee input as an ingredient that then goes in to build this amazing signature drink. And I mean, like, that's basically what the kids are doing now. Is like they'll use their parents' espresso machine, they'll rip some shots in the evening, chill them overnight, and then in the morning make some crazy cool drink in a clear cup that they can TikTok and like share with their friends. And they're basically just having fun. It's so awesome.
Yeah, we were playing with one the other day. Everyone was doing that orange juice espresso trend. I'm like, screw that. Add chocolate to it. We had some Mork chocolate powder here. I'm like, do like a mocha orange juice. And I'm like, that thing was like insane.
Yeah.
And it's just screwing around.
Yeah.
It's like, why not? The idea of sharing everything. But speaking of dumping things in your coffee, you've already talked about protein, but we've got to talk about the trend of putting supplements in coffee. I'm talking about like adaptogens range, things like collagen. I need some collagen for my skin. Put the chicken broth in my coffee. MCT oil, and I've got to say it with the Valley Girl accent. Have we got this right here? Ashwagandha. Is that how you say it? Was that good?
You're showing your age. Yeah.
yeah.
Ashwagandha.
yeah. Explain it. Explain all this stuff that's happening. What are we doing?
I mean, it's all kind of part of this like functional drink your health thing that's going on. Coffee is like a habit. It's a daily ritual for people, and it's the easiest way to deliver all of these kind of trendy supplements. And so we kind of approach that like in a way of embracing innovation, if you will. Like that's kind of just like trying to take all these things that are, proteins is a functional word that people know and they know they need more of. And that's why you're getting protein in literally everything you can buy from the supermarket at the moment. That will happen. There's lots of other add-ons like magnesium or, like all of these other things that you take in a pill format or a supplement format. If you can put the correct dose in your, the correct dose of coffee and it tastes great, it's such an easy win for people.
Because I do take magnesium and collagen in a like powder form, and it is just an annoying thing to do in the morning. So fair enough if it's in the coffee. I guess it's that balance of like, the target market of who's looking at it, the purist to the. I feel like there's more of a middle ground now, right? Like I feel like the worlds are kind of colliding of convenience and quality.
And it's like education too, right? The more people know about these things, or they're demystified, the kind of more likely they are to give them a go and like try them for like a few weeks and see if there is an impact on their sleep or their body, or they're feeling sexier, or like whatever it is that they're going for. So the whole thing around just trying to like use coffee as a vehicle to deliver additional value. That's what we're trying to. That's our approach.
Speaking of vehicles, an airplane is a vehicle, and I'm the king of segues here.
That's good.
An airplane takes you on a journey, and there was a certain airport where you were approached by an Irish coffee roaster called Cloud Picker. Now, this is now going out. Well done. Stuck the landing. You were asked, so you've done all this RTD. They wanted to do like a high volume solution for the Dublin airport. How do you take on a challenge like that? Like that feels like a very challenging kind of thing to do. And what did you come up with to solve the problem?
Yeah, I mean, like we had kind of had this product kind of sitting on the shelf for a while, which is it's our raw extract that we produce.
And sorry, just to cut you off quickly. So is this was this to replace like espresso at the airport? Like what are they trying to replace first?
Basically, it's to relieve the pressure from the espresso machine making hot drinks. So at the Dublin airports, I believe they've got 3 sites. They use it with a Marcode poured, which is basically like a Coke post-mix fountain, and it dispenses, 20 or 25 mils of this extract from the bladder that it comes in, and then you've got another button that adds filtered water, so you've got cold brew on demand. There's a hot water button that is attached to a boiler, so you've got batch brew on demand. Or you can like make milk, to dispense your milk in, and then shot of coffee, syrup, come back to the signature drinks thing. It's like, sodas or tonics, but basically it's like a tool. So they have got, again, back to this, like how Gen Z are using coffee. It's just the same thing. It's an ingredient of a high quality that can, in hospitality, speed up service. So then they can make more flat whites, so they don't have to pull shots to make ice drinks, basically. So that was the kind of problem solve and the unlock for those guys, and great validation for us. We've been talking with this hardware company, Marco, who are from Ireland, about trying to get an awesome case study for this thing that we think could be part of the next phase of hospitality. And they picked it up and it goes well for them. So that really just came out of a need of ease of service.
So what's your solution of what you're creating? Because I have seen there is this big talk at the moment about like forever it was like espresso needs to be pulled fresh and it needs to be made and poured straight away. I mean, I think Starbucks even made up some crap about shots dying and all this kind of stuff. But we are seeing a wave of like pre-batched espresso or pre-batched coffee. A lot of the times people are saying it even tastes better, like when you make a flat white with this pre-batch shot than the fresh shot itself kind of coming out. So what was your solution in this area?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is like an alternative to espresso. I think that like espresso is still, I mean, there's Lamazocos in like sushi shops. There's Lamazocos in like every shop that you would never think there'd be a coffee machine, which is insane and so. But I think that espresso is going to be like one option for people who are on a journey within coffee, just like a pour over experience, which probably is more like a ceremony now than, if you can afford the time to go and have it, and that's amazing too. I think like our approach to that is really kind of streamlining service and allowing operators the opportunity to democratize the barista a little bit so anybody in their team can make drinks so that they can extend their drink offering from what is a pretty traditional espresso based menu to like signature drinks and like anything they can think of. They can try stuff out every day. So it's trying to bring that fun and creativity back to food service and hospitality, and then minimizing wastage. Like there's so much energy that's used from machinery and so much like dialing in, so many beans, like just wastage across the whole chain of making coffee every single day. So if we can minimize that, then we're again contributing back to the owner operators who kind of, you lose money wherever you look in hospitality. So it's like this all came up from us running shops. Like we ran cafes and like big all day eatery things, and like that was so hard. That was totally the hardest thing I've ever done. I hated every minute of it. I loved opening the shop, but cleaning dishes and running the shop was such hard work. But they were very fortunate now that we've got lots of learnings on those day-to-day pains that you're going to go through. So yeah, a lot of that thinking is about problem solving for
speaking of making money and running your own shops in that. Places selling a coffee concentrate versus an actual espresso shot, should they be charging less for the coffee concentrate or should they be charging the same as having a shot of espresso?
I think the value is with the customer. Like, do you feel value paying $6 or $7 for a flat white, or whether it's made from espresso or from concentrate, if you can't tell the difference? Like, I think if you feel like you're paying if you were to pay $10 for something that came out of a trendy tap and you felt pumped about it, then the value's there. I think it's hard to answer that question without the context of the operator, the human who's selling it to you, the space you're in, because all of these things are layered into what value is for people now. Because you're going to pay there's sort of a standard for a cost of coffee, whether you're in like a dive or you're in a beautiful cafe, which is insane to me because it doesn't quite make sense. So I really think that it's all about presentation of what that firstly what that concentrate is. If it is quality, then yeah, I think there is justification to charge the same thing. But I also think there's opportunity for it to cost less because it's batched and it's made with a problem solved, a problem in mind.
Speaking of airports, no.
There was this plane.
There was a plane. No, I mean, speaking of value, a very expensive drink notoriously now and a nightmare for bartenders to make. You've come up with an espresso martini on tap.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. And does it match up to the annoying to make espresso martini for bartenders?
There's some trepidation there in that tone.
I know, yeah. It was such hard work to get it right. It's really
Sorry for
good.
bringing up past traumas here. I'm just like constantly, you're like tried to forget all of this and I'm just bringing it all back for you.
Oh, I just like really annoyed the team by wanting to do it. It was like, we were having a hard enough time trying to like figure out how to make coffee in a can and like just keep up with what we're doing. And I'm like, hey guys, it'd be cool if we made like espresso martini and like do this completely different thing. And anyway, we figured it out. And thank you to the team because like, oh, they really so patient. We figured it out and started putting it in kegs, got a distributor, and it started appearing in like, cool bars and restaurants that we would go to and the city, up and down the country actually. Does it stand up against a fresh one? Well, we had to do some research. So we went around like 20 different restaurants and ordered espresso martinis at every single
hard
one.
research. Sorry, tough life
really
there,
hard
mate.
research.
Jeez Louise.
We were jacked out the other end. But the one insight was that no one was the same. They were all completely different. So we kind of tried to standardize the espresso martini. And again, coming back to that like workflow thing, they never go out as single drinks. It's always in as a table of 6, and then you see it go past and go, oh yeah, let's get some martinis.
That's the worst. Once one person orders
tables.
it, then everyone in the bar's ordering it. Oh.
Yeah. And you're just getting, the poor bartender's just getting absolutely fleeced by making these like espresso martinis. And so, like, again, problem, we just tried to solve it. We made it good quality, tasted delicious, better margin for the operators. Like, it's pretty no-brainer. And since we've actually partnered with some friends who've got like a keg cocktail business, and we just provide the coffee, and now they're making it with that.
Did you do like nitro? Like, what kind of tech were you using here?
Yeah. Was
it a foamy espresso martini or is it flat?
Ages. Yeah, it's got like a nitrogenator, which is like a little piece of tech that sits underneath the bench, and basically, rather than using CO2 to push, to carbonate product as it comes through the line, it pushes nitrogen into the product the same way it's like a Guinness tap would work basically. And so when it came out, it had this beautiful head, and that was probably like 90% of the project, trying to figure out who makes this thing, where can we buy it from, and put that sort of piece together. But man, once we cracked it, satisfaction.
I can imagine. That's the whole satisfaction of an espresso martini, is that cascading head. So once you tap that, you're dialed in. As we kind of look at it, obviously it's like your products have been received really great by the people buying them, by people loving them. More interestingly, though, how do you think your products are kind of received by the coffee industry and the hospitality industry? Do you think there's a bit of like, it's taken away the specialty craft of it, or do you think there's a bit of love for having that extra option?
It's interesting. I think it's probably pretty polarizing. I think like our approach with hospitality and baristas has always been from a supporting like a pit crew nature. So say the coffee concentrate products, it's all, our focus has really always been around taking pressure off busy times on the espresso machine and providing like another workstation. I think cans is really about giving the opportunity to coffee roasters to diversify what they do. A lot of the brands that we buy from are slowly moving into supermarket or into specialty grocer, just to kind of remove the risk of just being in food service when times are tough, in hospitality when times are tough. And so really we've come in from this angle of allowing them the opportunity to go and put their brand in places that they haven't been able to be before. Because most of them have got like iconic historic brands that have been around for, 30 plus years, some of them. And so that's the big opportunity that we enable roasters or beverage brands to sort of go and make the most of. How are we perceived? I hope that we're perceived positively and like, we're just genuinely interested in doing stuff that doesn't exist. So we're kind of trying our hardest to make things that are delicious and interesting and at the right price too. Like we're not naive to the fact that when we got going, all our shit's too expensive. And so we're just constantly working to try to make it cheaper and cheaper without compromising on quality. And I think that's what everyone in the industry is trying to do at the same time, right?
And do you think with this like constant urge for like innovation and that convenience. Do you think it's robbing people at all of this, like the ritual around coffee of like spending that time in the morning, going to the local cafe? Where do you sit on that side of the argument?
I think it's enabling them to have a choice. It might be every day's different. And so your routine might be some days you have a meeting in a cafe, some days you're having to travel. So it's like you can have your brand, or you can have a specialty option available to you in a petrol station or fridge, and then you can also have it at your local cafe. So I think it's about accessibility. I do think that I think a lot about the next generation of coffee drinkers and where they start their journey, and often it's with like a flavored milk drink, and that's a great place to start. Or it's with instant, or it's like it's fairly low quality, a mocha or something like that, and it's like cool. The world of coffee is a journey, and it's you're going to start with those products. You could get into flat whites, and then you could get into pour overs, and then you kind of get to like sort of blacks or whatever it is, up gaiters and yada yada. So you kind of are going on a journey, and I think everything's contextual, right? It's like I kind of love a shitty airplane coffee because I don't know, it's weird. It's just like this kind of funny thing, and it's like how we not got this right yet, but it's also like there's a kind of a joy about it that I quite like. So I was I
was just going to say, I was just recently just had a baby, and I was in the hospital for a week. And as you can imagine, you're not really sleeping. You're just sleeping in a chair in the corner of the room the whole time. But they just had like the instant coffee sachets. And I don't know why, I was like, there's just something in this context that this hits. Like, just
100%.
Like, it took me back to my uni
100%.
days of doing all-nighters, that flavor of just like, this is getting me through. Even if the caffeine isn't even having an effect at that point, I'm like, this hits.
It resets. It resets your barometer to like appreciate the good stuff. Just even you kind of, both of you like talking about those experiences. It's like when you get that quick grab and go, when you grab that, whatever it is, and then that moment that you do have the time. Because I think people are there's less and less time. Everyone's kind of trying to get, cut and make more efficiencies in every capacity. So there's no time for these rituals, like my partner wakes up in the morning. She's like, I just get up. And I'm like, I want to sleep. I want more efficient, I need to sleep. I have no time for any of that stuff. But the moment that you can sit down and you can appreciate it, I guess the argument with this is that when you do have that moment, and if there's less people sitting down for those rituals more often, can we trust the person to go through the process to give you that, high quality? If you are spending that time, you're spending on those things, that person comes up, can they really deliver on that thing? Because I'm almost a convert. This entire thing, I'm like, there's less things in the works to go wrong. If you can give me a beautiful specialty canned experience, come on. I am like, there's like, because you're right. The same thing with the espresso martinis is the exact same thing with the flat white here in Melbourne or anywhere. Yep. You go to any cafe, you're getting a different product every single time. Like, it doesn't matter if you go around and ask for that.
But you want to know where I like the espresso martini or that idea on tap? My main one would be that 90% of cocktail bars making espresso martinis are making absolute trash. Like if you watch like the espresso they're pulling from like the machine, it's like gushing out. The coffee is like months old. It's been there forever. So it's like a different thing than when you're in like a hardcore specialty coffee shop and you're like, this is an experience. Most espresso martinis are crap. So if you can do something good on a tap, then that'll be better than majority of what's out there. But to finish up, talking about innovation and that kind of thing, what's on the cards for like you? Like obviously we were talking about this earlier. What is it, flying by the seat of your pants? I don't know what that saying means. I don't know what the seat of your pants is. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Please correct me if I am. But what does the future, like the next few years kind of look like for you? Where do you want to see yourself? What are the innovations that you're excited about? Give us a little sizzle to get us excited.
I guess we're continuing to build capacity in this factory. We're interested in getting into a wider scope of natural energy, which is like things like matcha and yerba mate and different teas and things like that. Interesting flavor combinations. We just want to keep pushing that, and we just want to keep pushing what what hospitality can be as well. So I think, we always come back to hospitality, and hospitality is an experience. And as someone who comes into a shop and wants to be seen and held the whole time, and how do you bring that back to what feels more like a transaction a lot of the time now? So if there's ways that we can do that by simplifying the roles that baristas have and supporting them in better ways, then that's kind of what we're always kind of exploring. But honestly, man, it's all about play and having fun and trying to make things that are valuable.
That really excites me, the coffee industry side that you're saying, like in the cafe, like where's the balance of finding the service and the quality, but also creating speed on those other sides, like where it helps the flow of the cafe, especially in these times with rising coffee prices, rising rents, rising pay. Like everything is really hard to run a cafe now. And I think the next bit of innovation is, we got away with it for too long. The next bit of innovation is, how do we make these cafes truly profitable with great experience? And you're seeing things like the 5-second iced latte from like plumbed in pipe things that are like pop, pop, pop. And you're like, that's sick. That's really cool. So that's awesome, man. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think just as a person, you're the type of guy that's like truly inspiring, just to go out there and experiment for those of us out there that are go-getters and want to do it. It feels like, obviously you have to go through a lot. You're going to go through a lot of failure to get to these great successes. But thank you for sharing your story and sharing what you're doing. I'll put you on the spot, and you better nail this. Inspire our audience. What do you have? Give us a final sentence to leave us on. This is going to be beautiful, people. Man. I'm going to get this tattooed on my forehead.
Irritation causes innovation.
Hey, that was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I was just waiting. He's prepared and ready to go. What was that? Irritation leads to innovation, causes innovation. That's true. You got to push the people, because 90% of people don't want to do it. You got to annoy. You got to be annoyed. And you got to push through that to see the change.
Life is annoying.
Liam's annoying. It's all annoying.
It's just trying to make life a little bit less annoying. So changing things that are like, poking you in the side. It's like, that's basically.
Oh, I was reading it differently. Irritation from your life leads to you wanting to innovate stuff. I was leaning into
Liam's irritating.
Yeah. I thought you were meaning being like, to innovate, you have to be like irritated and pushed and like challenged and like that kind of thing. But also things that irritate you in life lead you to innovate and make them easier.
Do the hard thing.
Both are right.
Do the hard thing. To anyone that wants to get in contact with us, please email us at hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com and follow us on the socials at It's Just Coffee Podcast.
Yeah, and where can they find you? What are all the tags and that kind of stuff?
At newground.coffee on the gram, and that's basically it. Just check that one out.
Yeah, they've been great. If anyone wants to make some kind of RTD, instant coffees, or to innovate, it feels like I want from this podcast, I want it for you to get your next annoying, impossible to create, gonna kill you and nearly bankrupt your company idea. I want someone to reach out and be like, we've got this crazy thing and I want it to bring you to the brink of extinction to create it. But then on the other side, emerge like a beautiful phoenix from the rubble and the smoldering ashes.
I love that. I want that.
So someone come up with a great idea, reach out to him. And thank you for listening to our pod. Make sure you got to do this annoying thing, but if you're listening to it right now on Spotify, just click the subscribe button. It's like 1/5 of the people who listen to this pod are subscribed to it. So just hit that button. It does so much for us. It helps us grow, helps Liam, pay his rent. He's living, outside at the moment. He's got him and Katie struggling to survive.
I was trying to put on the puppy dog eyes.
Yeah, but, without the success of this podcast, he'll never be able to live. It's so cold. He's freezing. Cold. Good thing he's so beefy. Otherwise, he'd be freezing out there on the streets. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for joining us. It's been an amazing podcast. And as we say at the end of every podcast, it's just coffee in a can, coming to you next November.
Absolutely. Rock and roll.